I think I must switch now to the English version. I don't know whether I can give it justice, just as I gave the Thai version earlier. I think the topic of this talk is quite challenging, direction and trend in the fight against, in the fight for the pro-democracy movement in Thailand. I really don't know, and I'm not sure whether I have an answer to that. I think also we are now in the process of this pro-democracy movement in Thailand. So I think I will have to say, based on my experience in the past few years, I am quite fortunate, again, in the past few years, to be able to go out, out and about, even though I am now a fugitive, from Thai government. But thanks to my good network with Thai communities, all over the places in the US, in Europe, and also my network with leading university in the world. So because of that, I come across so many people, so many fighters, and also movements as well. So I would only be speaking from my own perspective and also from my own experiences through the year. I think there's a number of problems, in terms of how to fight against dictator in Thailand, and also to consolidate or strengthen democratic movement both in Thailand and also overseas. The first problem that I would like to mention here is, I think somehow in Thailand we still have some kind of a lack of proper education, and also a lack of somehow political consciousness among Thai, right? I think that also has something to do with the nature of the Thai culture as well. We have to understand that Thai society is very much a passive society, unlike any other society in Asia, in East Asia. And I just gave an example of what we have seen in the case of South Korea, for example. They're very aggressive people. When they are unhappy with the government, they would be so ready to stand up and fight against the government, so forcefully, in fact. But in Thailand, we never seen any case like that. Throughout many turbulent times in Thailand, 1923, 1926, 1992, 2010, only a few times when we would see that Thai people came out to fight against dictator, and it's often ended tragically, right? As we know, the 2010, I think to me that was so devastating when it produced 100 people dead and 2,000 casualties. And the fact that it has remained passive because also has something to do with the existence of culture of impunity in Thailand too. Who would want to go out there to fight against dictator when you know that you would get killed, your loved one would get killed, and then no one would serve justice? And until today, no one has ever served justice. This is so ironic in Thailand that people who were behind the ordering of the killing of the red shirt in 2010 now become someone who's holding political power, right? And not only that, someone who also behind the drafting of the new constitution, which already gave them amnesty. Oh my God, this is absurd. I've never seen anything like this before. So that's why I said that very much so. You can't blame them if they want to become a passive society as well, because it might not really worth it for them. I would understand. I would not go out and get killed and then get nothing out of it. So maybe lack of understanding, maybe lack of sufficient education. Maybe this is because the nature of Thai society, which so much become a passive society. Another thing also has to do with the emergence of red shirt movement. So at the beginning, I had a lot of hope about this new red shirt movement, because I think to me this is something really new in the modern history of Thai society as well. Because I think for me, red shirt movement could become the first ever movement which is sort of bottom up movement from the real grassroots people. Whereas if you see 1973, 1976, 1992, most of these were driven by middle class in Bangkok, by intellectuals, right? So I think the red shirt, okay, even though a part of this red shirt, you would also see intellectuals. If you count me as a part of this movement, I would see myself as part of intellectual. I would not claim that I am from the grassroots, from my posh upbringing. But you have to say overall they are from the north and the northeast region. So for me at the beginning I was so excited to see the red shirt, coming from the Isan region, from the northern region. So and they have such a clear agenda as well in 2000, because they emerged in 2006 2007 in the aftermath of the coup, with the agenda of anti-military, anti-coup agenda. So I mean everything was so promising to them. But somehow, because they continue to rely so much on the Thaksin faction as well, this would not be good for them, for their image and also their long-term agenda as well. Because it allowed the opposition, it allowed people in Bangkok to conveniently combine red shirt movement with Thaksin. And in Thailand, when you want to be accused, it's just like that. People just believe it without proving it. Right? So, red shirt, you are nothing, just a pro-Thaksin faction, just a pro-Thaksin movement. Okay, you might be pro-democracy, but you also a part of Thaksin gang. So, I mean, and that also kind of like delegitimize the work of the red shirt over there, which I think it is unfair, because in my talk, in my research with a lot of red shirt, I know that, yes, some of them might still really like Thaksin, some of them still look at Thaksin as some kind of model, of democracy. I mean, ironically, sorry to say. But you can't help them thinking like that, because then if not Thaksin, then who else? They could look up to, there's no one else, okay? Maybe not Thaksin, maybe Yingluck, but Yingluck also from the Shinawatra family, right? There's no one to look up to. But I think it's unfair, because a lot of them have already, in Thai we call Gao Kam, or you already moved over from Thaksin to just become a pro-democracy movement, but you get stuck. It wouldn't help also now that the situation in Thailand, political situation in Thailand is like this. You only still have one dominant political party, which is Pheu Thai. You have no other alternatives in Thai politics, whereas other red shirt member could choose, right? So at the end of the day, you kind of get stuck with the Pheu Thai as well, because you would not go and elect someone from the Democrat Party, because this is the other end of the spectrum as well, right? You wouldn't do it. So that's why I think that allowed the Pheu Thai Party to take them for granted also, because the Pheu Thai also realized that since you have no other alternative, you have to get stuck with me. And I gave the example earlier that's why they dare to push the blanket amnesty. That also led to the anti-Yingluck demonstration, because they knew that if you want to push this, and you have no other alternative as well. So that is also, I think the whole thing is quite unfortunate. And lastly, the obstacle against this pro-democracy movement in Thailand is because of the re-emergence of dictatorship in Thailand. It keeps coming out, right? Just when you think that, okay, we about to consolidate our democracy, then every 6 or 8 year or 10 year, then coup keep coming back, right? 2006, then 2014. I bet you, if Thaksin keep coming back after 2017, not long after that, the coup would be coming again this way, right? This is such a vicious circle in Thailand, because this is again is the nature of Thai society, of Thai politics, of they keep up their appearance, the dictators. But at this particular point in time, and this would be my last point, and I'll be very brief. It's going to be a long drawn battles, because we are not just talking about the elimination of Thaksin threat from the perspective of the Thai elite. This is so much so about the royal succession, right? And this made the coup of 2014 so much different from 2006. 2006 was so much about Thaksin threat, when the king was still healthy. 2014 is not. We don't know when the king, gonna pass from the scene. It could be happening this year, next year. And then because the king, over the past few decades, has provided them, especially the Bangkok elite, the old establishment, the traditional elite, that sense of security in terms of political interest, economic interest, social status. They become so anxious. What if the king is not around? who would give us that sense of predictability and also stability. Because of this sense of anxiety, it has driven them to stage a coup so that they could come here and take charge of the royal succession to ensure that the next king would be put in place, to ensure that their power, interest, and position would be well protected. This is in the process. And I can tell you that they have been making a deal with the crown prince coming in. So again, I mean, this is another topic which I can talk a bit further. But why don't I just finish here for now? And I don't know what else next. Should we make a break or should we move on to another Thai session? I don't know.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sure.
Do you think that what's happened in Burma should give us hope?
Yes and no. Yes, in a sense that I mean, funny enough, you know, whatever happened in Burma is also quite close to my heart as well. Because when I was doing PhD in London, I was doing Thailand and Burma in comparison. And back then, you know, I was doing my PhD in the year 2000, 2001. Now you know how old I am. I'm very old.
How old are you? How old are you?
No, I mean, that's so sensitive. No, we shouldn't talk about it.
I'm sorry.
So no, the reason I mentioned that because back in the year 2000, I became so sympathetic about Burma, or even looking down. Oh my God, you're so backward. You know, Thailand becomes so advanced. Thailand would never be in that position. You believe it's 16 years later, we are worse than Burma, Myanmar. I could not believe myself. Right? So in a way, yes. Let me talk about yes first. Yes, because I think Burma, Myanmar has come a long way to a point that the military government, the military, the junta, kind of realized that, look, domestically, internationally, things have changed so much. If we do not adapt ourselves to the changes, we would not survive. Then in the process of adapting to that changes, we have to ensure that we still can pull the string behind the scene. That's why Burma can come up with a lot of genius solution of assigning 20% of the military to sit in the parliament, right? In order to guarantee that the military would still be able to take certain control of politics. And at the same time, working with civilians, i.e. Aung San Suu Kyi, right? Right now, Aung San Suu Kyi is doing a deal with them. And Aung San Suu Kyi would be so compromising because she is so desperate to become the president. Because under the Burmese constitution, she is not allowed, she is not eligible to be the president because her husband is British. And this is something to do with the Burmese being so nationalist, patriotic, right? And also to prevent Suu Kyi from becoming the president. But now it seems that she might become the president. Again, there is something like under the table deal. So I mean, and over the year, Aung San Suu Kyi has proven that she would also be willing to compromise with the military as well. In the past few years, she came out to defend the military. In the past few years also, she refused to talk about Rohingya issue, right? Because it's too sensitive for her, something like that. So yes, it's opening up. Yes, also that it become more civilianized. Yes, before that, Burma also follow, you know, this democratic pattern a la West, meaning you talking about election, yes we have. You talking about national convention, yes we have. The parliament, yes we have. Then what else you want more, right? Opening up economically, yes. You want investment, yes we give it to you, right? In a way, no is that, no is mean the military would never walk away again from politics. In a way, it's no because it gives this bad example to Thailand. To the point that the Thai military would like to put themselves in the shoes of the Tatmadaw. The Tatmadaw is mean the Burmese army that, oops, we could do the same thing. Oops, we could also even legalize our position in politics, meaning through the constitution. Oops, we could also play an important role in leading political reform. How can it be to allow military, which is the least democratic institution, to lead democratic reform? Absurd. But then they are inspired by the Burmese version. So that's why I said it's split. Yes.